Everybody, how you doing? Man, we are live. I'm excited. Welcome to Game Beyond the Game Talk That Talk. We have a 2-hour special today. I feel extremely happy because our topic today is nil or no nil, racism and social injustice in professional sports. The reason why I got involved in doing this is because I'm usually a person that's really neutral. And I've always been neutral, never confrontational, just wanted to be somewhere in between, but just felt compelled that I should speak up. And everybody that has a platform or a voice should speak up and mention something about what's going on in the world. And the reason why we're here is because of what happened to George Floyd, being murdered by a black male being murdered by a white police officer. And you really don't want to add race or color to it, anything, but obvious. So we had to shed light on it. So one of the things that I want to share with you is that I decided to do a panel with seven incredible other athletes, should I say, including myself. And I wanted everyone to get an understanding of how we feel and our thoughts on everything that's going on in the world. Because I know that people have questions, but there seems like there are no answers or no solutions. So what we're going to be focusing on are some of those solutions and how we can implement those solutions and have something that's applicable or applicable actions each and every day. So without further ado, I hope that you get a chance to share this with other people, make comments. If you want to make comments, please hashtag comment. If you want to ask a question, hashtag ask, as we get an opportunity to answer your questions on our open discussions. So other than that, let's go ahead and get the show started. Without further ado, I want to introduce the panel. So very quickly, we have Tony the Tycoon, Tony Hills. He's incredible. He played for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Been knowing him since childhood, and it's been wonderful to reconnect with Tony. So, Tony, happy that you're here. We have Gerris Wilkinson. Played with Gerris at Georgia Tech, and he played in the NFL. He played with the New York Giants. Gerris is my brother. All these fellas are my brothers. So I'm really excited. Gerris Wilkinson, nice to see you. Tavon Mason. Tavon is doing some extraordinary work in Baltimore, and had an opportunity to meet with him and talk with him, and he is an incredible individual. Also, his beard has a lot of wisdom in it. So. And he played with the St. Louis Rams.
New York Jets.
I'm sorry, New York Jets. Thank you, brother. Thank you for correcting. And we have Alvin Scioneaux. And Alvin played with the San Diego Chargers before they were LA Chargers. And it was kind of close to like the last few years before they decided to up and leave San Diego and go to LA. So he's here joining us, man. He's been very solid. I love Alvin. I love what he's doing. We have Cameron Lynch. Man, Cam, he played with the Tampa Bay Bucks, right? Yes, that's right. I got it right. All right, cool. And had a chance to meet Cam. Man, Cam is extraordinary. He's doing amazing things right now with his company, Heartwork Media. So make sure that you continue to keep tuning in because he has a lot of great things going on, and we have a lot of great things that we're working on too. And last but not least, we have Joe Gamble. Joe Gamble played with the Philadelphia Eagles. He played with other teams as well, but he ended his career with the Philadelphia Eagles, correct? Am I correct, Joe?
Eagles, Browns, and the Titans finished out with the Titans.
Eagles, Browns, finished out with the Titans. Nice. So awesome. So we're going to jump right into this because I don't want to keep our audience waiting. And I want to start the show off by saying the NFL is one of the professional sports that I had an opportunity to play in, and I'm very grateful for it. But one of the coaches, the head coach for the Broncos, Vic Fangio, he said, I don't see racism at all in the NFL. And if society reflected an NFL team, we'll all be great. Now, I understand where he's coming from because I know Vic Fangio. But what I don't understand is that we live in a society that was established upon racism, capitalism, injustice. And when we are in this society, the way that you make money is from war. The way that you make money is from entertainment, death, and sickness. And so if the NFL was a society, then what he's saying would be true. But since it's not, and our society is bigger than the NFL, there's still racism involved. And so I had an opportunity to speak with Tony Hills, and we had an opportunity to talk about some of the encounters that he's faced. And so I would like for Tony to speak about this. So Tony, if you don't mind, can you speak about some of the things that Coach Fangio was saying, and can you put it in context or your experience that you had with racism?
Prince, your mic is muted.
Thank you. There we go. Tony, you back?
Back.
All right. Did you hear my question, Tony?
No, go ahead and try it again. My bad about that.
Okay. All right. It's all right. So the Broncos head coach, I was talking about him, Vic Fangio. You know,
Correct.
He said he doesn't see racism in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
And he said if society reflected an NFL team, we'll all be great.
Yeah.
So basically what I said is that our society is bigger than the NFL. So the NFL is just a part of our society. So racism is still going to exist. I know that we had conversations and you had some encounter with racism. Please, can you elaborate more on that experience and kind of put some of what he said into context for our audience?
Yeah, I mean, not just in sports, just in everyday life. At the end of the day, I am pretty sure we all I can pinpoint times in my childhood. A couple of brothers sitting on the steps in front of my apartment. Cop pulls up, asking us what we're doing. Why is that any of your business? We're sitting here enjoying each other. You wouldn't do that in any other neighborhood. So we experienced that as it pertains to the league. There's been plenty of times that my position has been given away, not earned, just given away to our fair-skinned counterparts just because. And when asked for a reason, a justifiable reason was not given. One of the reasons why I, went to different teams is because I didn't play that game. I called out what I saw. I come from a background of, you got to call it how you see it, and respect is not given, it's earned. So just growing up and seeing and being in the environments, growing up in A-Leaf, Texas, being around those type of environments, having a mom whose mother was actually a maid and grew up in those times, she gave me a wonderful understanding on how the world is. So I didn't walk out of, high school and college naive to the understanding that you are going to be hated because of the color of your skin. And that's just the reality of the situation. Now, by no means am I using this as an excuse. At the end of the day, we still got to live. And the one thing that I teach all three of my little lions is that at the end of the day, we have to make a life for ourselves, regardless of the obstacles that are in our way. And racism is one of those obstacles.
Beautiful. Nice. Well said. Thank you for that. That answer brings us to this. Kneel or no kneel? Cameron Lynch, you were in the NFL during this kneeling movement. What are your thoughts on it with all the controversy that's going on? And did you participate in it? And if so, why or why not?
Wow. Yeah.
It's a lot that went on during the time. I did not kneel, right? I didn't put my hand over my heart or anything like that. But to be honest, I didn't have the courage to kneel until I saw my sister do it at her graduation, right? When I saw her do it at her graduation, I was like, wow, the youth is really taking this thing to the next level. And so I kneeled right there with her. She told me she was going to do it beforehand. At first, I didn't really believe her. But when I saw her do it, it kind of sparked the movement, what's going on now, just with these social injustices after the killing of George Floyd. So, we're pushing for our university as in Syracuse. They just hired a diversity and inclusion officer there. So, there's some change. There's some change happening. And, in regards to Deshaun Jackson, I played with him at the Buccaneers, man. And he was a part of social injustice initiatives. He was doing a lot of things, to push the ball forward. So, the statement that he made and everything in regards to what's going down, he might not have been educated on that. You know what I mean? And I think Emmanuel Acho broke it down really well. There's no excuse for ignorance in this space, especially now. And Deshaun was the guy that took a knee. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of things that are going on right now, and I do think healthy dialogue will be the cure.
That was beautiful. Well said. Nice. So, wow, you had brought up a question that I was going to ask for later, but you've already touched on it, and I think that's beautiful, man. There are a lot of things going on in our world, and a lot of players are trying to speak out about it. And I think it's because of where their mental state is right now. They need some type of outlet, some type of help, and they want to be able to speak out. So I think that's really good that he's able to speak out. Which leads me to my next question. Colin Kaepernick, should he come back to the NFL? Yay or nay? And why? Tavon, if this was you, if you were Colin Kaepernick, how would you handle this situation?
I believe, me personally, if it's on a wanting to play basis, because he still wants to play, I say why not? If we look at it as a scope of where we are now, I think, me personally, I wouldn't. I would just sit back and see what comes next. See if they would. I doubt they would. I mean, I don't know. Reach out to me as a lead when it comes to this, because of me coming out years ago and everybody shot it down. Trump led the way with that, with shooting it down and, pushing his agenda and what he wanted to see and who he wanted to appeal to. And here we are 3 to 5 years later, and what he was trying to get everybody to see vividly now is out there, clear as aquarium water. You know what I mean? And I believe now he kind of has this aspect in the palm of his hands, even though, I was on Twitter recently and he posted something about, 4th of July and, had people that, of course, wanted to steer it in a different direction. But I think what you're seeing now, is what he already started and what he gambled his career on for somebody to see. So me personally, I would come back if I wanted to play, if I was him. But if I had no aspirations to play, I wouldn't come back. Because I would think of myself, okay, before teams didn't want to reach out to me, right? Now that all this stuff is blasting out, just how you see like a Wi-Fi stream, you know what I mean? Now it's like the teams who reach out to me, are they doing it to check off something off that box to say I did it to support Black Lives Matter, or just to support what he was saying in general, to be that team to say, hey, look, I did it. You know what I mean? So it would be a lot of, sit down and wonder for myself if I was him.
Wow. Well said. Well said. I think he does face a lot of struggles right now, but I think right now a lot of these brands are supporting him and they really want him to succeed. He just signed a deal with Disney, and also Nike had gave him his first deal when he was being ostracized by the NFL. So that's awesome. Thank you for that answer. So in 2011, the NFL had a lockout, and it was imposed by the owners. The players and the owners could not come to a consensus on a new collective bargaining agreement. And the owners locked out the players from the team facilities and shut down the operations. Now, the major issue dispute were the salary caps, the player safety, and the health benefits, rookie salaries, season length, and the free agency guidelines. So 9 years later, 2020, the 21st century, it's a pandemic happened. The players are at risk, as well as their families. They are on top. They are torn between playing and not knowing what to do with their time. So on top of that, the owners of the NFL, I'm not speaking about every owner because I've met some owners that are really good people. But the majority of them, they want to escrow 35% of the player's salary. So basically what that means is that they want to have insurance in a partnership with the players that if the season is not profitable this year, they can cover their bottom line. So some players have spoken out about this on social media. So should there be an NFL season, an NBA season, an MLB season, a WNBA season, a MLS season? Because should these players sit out and unite on all fronts and demand more? Because the power is in the players right now, and it's a pivotal moment right now. So, Joel Gamble, can you please give us your thought on that?
Hey, man, that's an interesting fact right there that you just dropped on me as far as the owners wanting to escrow the money. I didn't know about that. But to speak to our players, our athletes, our professional athletes sitting out, that's a tough subject because I know a lot of men and women out there as far as professional sports have a lot of mouths to feed as far as their families are concerned. But this is a pivotal moment as far as, minorities, Black and brown people are concerned, where we do have the opportunity to come together as a whole, which has seemed to be an issue, even during the Kaepernick situation where I saw different players speaking out against, what he was doing. And I felt that, Kaepernick was right in taking that stance. And then other people can take their stances as well. But I find that we kind of we seem to criticize each other as opposed to coming together and realizing that everybody can have their own lane and we still can create change in our own ways. And so this is an opportunity for our athletes as a whole to kind of stand up. Obviously, with the pandemic, safety and health involved as well. And so, we're seeing, a lot of people get affected by the pandemic, and as well as, what this week or last week, the MLS Major Soccer League started up, and there were 2 teams that were affected and had to get sent home from the Disney bubble. And so we would hate to see that happen as far as the NBA and the NFL is concerned, if the NFL does decide to take it down to Disney. But first and foremost, we've been fighting oppression for over 400 years now. It's been decade after decade of no change whatsoever. We've had little to no change, and we really appreciate those that have fought in the past for change. To see, the things that we see today as far as, us playing as professional athletes and things of that nature. But there's still oppression, obviously, in our communities. There's still oppression, obviously, in America. And so, we just want things to be equal, equitable for all people. And so this is an opportunity for everybody to come together and say, hey, look, we need some real legislation. We need some real change as far as how America is put together, the systematic issues that affect our Black people in our communities. And we need to change that right now. If we're talking about, everybody being equal and being patriotics and being patriots, then we need everything to be equal. I just think back to, when our when our folks were fighting in the wars back then, and they came home and they didn't have the same rights as, as white soldiers did. And so, when we fast forward to 2020, we still shouldn't be having these conversations about whether or not Black folks are being oppressed in this country. When we look at it, Black folks have built this country up, through slavery, and the slave owners weren't doing a thing. So when we talk about what we're owed at least at the minimum a revamping of America and some of this legislation and the systems that, are affecting our people.
Wow. Beautiful. Well said. Tavon, I want to bring this back to you. Do you think that the players in the NFL can unite and come together and stand up and, demand change?
I think they can. The one thing, me and Joel, we talk regularly, on these situations, whether it's through phone or sending each other like different videos and stuff through Instagram. And, we've been each other like biggest supporters here in the city when we had things going on. And the one thing we had said, we mentioned the other day, Joel and I, we had said that, we know we have a platform, we know we got stuff we build, and whether it's businesses or our reputation even more, but, we said ourselves, I know we're not on the level, the men in this group chat we're not on the level of like a LeBron and stuff like that. But me, I say, I don't care about what happens after, putting out my thoughts about what's going on. And, if people sway away from wanting to help the organization or anything so big, I believe it's time, just like everybody been saying on this, on the podcast, is that time. I believe they could do it if they want to do it. Just to piggyback on what Joel said, we, being in NFL, we don't get guaranteed money unless you get to that wave where you're on that high level. You know what I mean? Not like your NBAs, your Major League Baseball, soccer, even though they're still getting chopped at the knees, the WNBA, they can if they want to. It gotta hit a certain way. And I believe some things won't be seen unless it hit on the home front. And if you guys remember when that first wave hit with Colin Kaepernick, the WNBA were the first ones, our women, our ladies, to say, well, if we can't at least wear all black shirts over top our jerseys, then we're not going to play. And they kind of like squeezed the president and the commissioner, whatever you want to call it, and she had to open up to give that way. And then the NBA came, then you have what we saw with Colin Kaepernick, and you had Reed who did it. He still got to play, but Kaepernick took that major blow. But it can happen, and I think now is a time with, and God bless and rest in peace to George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. With seeing that, I think that opened the eyes and the lenses and took that haze off of people to see, like, African American people, blacks, we're not lying about what goes on in this country, in the United States. Yes, it's a great country, but in order for us, to reach that greatness, our plateau is higher, and it keeps getting higher, where we got to keep doing all kinds of stuff in order to get that plateau. And I think the players can come together, and I think we as Black people need to come together as well and move away from destroying each other, tearing each other down, to come as one. And we can see more movement.
Thank you for that. Wow. That's beautiful. And I hope that we can. I'm definitely looking forward to it. I'm definitely an advocate for that. I'm always pushing for that. And I'm always pushing for every race to come together, no matter who you are, what background you came from. I'm that person, whenever you're in a room with me and it's an eclectic group of individuals, I'm the one that's always looking to bring everybody together, no matter whatever your background is. We just got to learn to find common ground and learn how to love ourselves before we can love someone else. So we're going to go ahead and go into our first break. Our audience, I hope that you're doing well. You're enjoying this 2-hour special that we put together. Please stay tuned. If you have to go take a break, a bathroom break, or go get a beverage, go get some popcorn or some chips, please do so, because we have more great topics where we're going to be talking about solutions. We have an open discussion and rapid fire, and we're going to be talking about the Black National Anthem in the NFL, and also Deshaun Jackson in his tweet. All right, so we'll see you in 2 minutes. Peace. And we are back. Hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome back to Game Beyond the Game presents Talk That Talk, a 2-hour special, Nil or No Nil, racism and social injustice in professional sports. I'm here with my team, panel of great NFL athletes, and they're all speaking about everything that's going on in this world. So we want to shed light on the obvious that is overlooked. So we're going to jump right back on in. So the first thing I want to talk about is the NFL said that they will play the Black National Anthem for the first 3 games of the 2020 season. Now, Steph Curry made a comment about this, asking, what is this solving? Now, I want to say, Steph, we appreciate you for speaking out and speaking up, using your voice and shining light on this enigma. Steph Curry plays in Oakland, California for the Warriors. And this is where one of our guests, Gerris Wilkinson, is from. Gerris, have you ever heard of the Black National Anthem? And what are your thoughts on the Black National Anthem being played for the first 3 games of the season? Because before you answer, this song / poem, is what they call it, was created by James Johnson during segregation for freedom and equality. You know, and we are in the 2020. So why are we singing this song? Is this inadvertently letting the players know that they are fighting for freedom and equality, or is it to get them to stop kneeling on the U.S. national anthem?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm glad Steph raised that question. I'm a big Steph Curry fan. In terms of the Black National Anthem, to answer your question, yes, I have heard of the Black National Anthem. I'm familiar with it. I guess the thing I had to ask myself is, okay, what is the NFL's goal by doing this? And you know, are they trying to redeem past mistakes that they've made with how they've handled Kaepernick, or are they trying to quiet the noise of people that are feeling people that want to protest? Are they trying to honor Black life? Are they trying to protect their revenue? What's the NFL's goal with this? And in terms of what it could be solving, if we're expecting the NFL to solve issues with systemic racism or the troubles that Black lives have to encounter in our communities, that's I don't think that's something that the NFL can or really should solve. But the NFL's power is that they have the attention of the masses, and they are here for the entertainment of the masses. So since they have the attention of the masses, they have the ability to influence awareness. And I don't know if the Black National Anthem is the best route to go. When I saw this question coming, I had to look up when the Black National Anthem was first established as the when that poem was actually established as the Black National Anthem, and it was done by the NAACP in 1919. Here we are, 101 years later, and an organization like the NFL wants to use this anthem to address to start the season off for the first 3 games. I think it's gonna raise a conversation, and it's gonna raise some awareness. Just because I'm sure a large percentage of people that are at an NFL game or watching an NFL game might not have even known that there was a Black National Anthem. So if in a way it causes people to go back and learn about the Black National Anthem, I need to do more research on it myself, because it's not something that I'm super familiar with in terms of the lyrics and the words and the meaning behind it. But if it causes people to go back and like actually try to understand what the Black National Anthem was about, then it might not be the worst thing. But in terms of it actually causing to have any impact, or is it just the NFL trying to clean up their PR image? It's been interesting to see all these different brands trying to put out their statement on the issue of Black lives and police brutality. I guess this was the NFL's response. And I think the thing that the trouble that I have with it is that any type of response that the NFL has on this topic, I think it has to start with Kaepernick. I think Kaepernick has to have some sort of platform if the NFL really wants to try to redeem themselves.
Wow, that was really powerful, man. Just saying that the NFL should start with Colin Kaepernick to see some type of change. I think that is so true, and the reason why is because they ostracized the man that was protesting and saying, look, man, this is what's going on in the world. Why aren't we addressing this? Why are these many people getting killed? And the majority of the players in the NFL are Black, and so that actually does something to their psyche, to their spirit, to their mental, and it affects them. So they will not be able to come and perform their job at 101% because they are afraid that once they leave the stadium where they feel that they're protected for the moment, they leave and then they will become a victim. So, I think that's amazing that you mentioned that, because we all have to come to some type of common ground and figure this thing out. So, with that being said, I want to talk about Deshaun Jackson and his tweet. And so Cam mentioned earlier that that it was incorrect. Is that right, Cam? Can you say it again?
About Deshaun?
Yeah, about Deshaun, because he was your former teammate.
Yeah. So we, Deshaun and I played together, and man, he was pushing a lot of initiatives when it comes to social injustice. You know what I mean? He took the knee along with Mike Evans. Mike Evans and those guys, they got death threats, from the community.
Right.
And like I said, I didn't have a chance. I won't say I didn't have a chance. I had a chance. I just didn't take a knee at the time because, being a bubble guy, that wasn't on my radar. But what I would say about the statement is I think he could have been more educated when he put that out there, right? And depending on, I think he should have thought about his delivery and how he should have done it. And I think Emmanuel Acho broke that down very well.
Okay, so I'll say this. He actually did not make that statement, or he didn't make a statement. He did type in some things, but he didn't make a statement. He just took a picture of a book that he read. And my notion is I've read books that have informed me on a lot of things that have happened in the past. And I feel that since it had Hitler's name in it, it was easy to connote it to anti-Semitic, and because of what Hitler did. So I understand that. But if I were to read this, because it did draw a lot of eyes and a lot of attention, and he got castrated for posting this. And I'll just repeat it. He said, and the book says, Hitler said, because I don't know what book he was reading, but it said, Hitler said, because the white Jews know that instead of me saying the Negroes, I'm going to say blacks are the real children of Israel, and to keep America secret, the Jews will blackmail America. So they will extort America. Their plan for world domination won't work if the blacks know who they were or are. So then it says the white citizens of America will be terrified to know that all this time they've been mistreating and discriminating and lynching the children of Israel. So what I saw was something that said world domination. I'm not omitting anything. But what I saw is that it says it's kind of giving him some type of mental outlet to be able to express himself, because right now everyone that is black is feeling like they're being oppressed. And so this is a book that resonated with him. And I know Steven Jackson spoke out about this and said that was his truth. But this is something that resonated with Deshaun because of the way that he's feeling and what's going on in America. And it said world domination and how it won't work if blacks know who they are. So, Alvin, you have a show called A1 Minute, and you speak about these things, about racism and inequality. So can you tell us more about this? And do you think what Deshaun Jackson posted was anti-Semitic? And if so, was it because of Hitler's name being mentioned, or was it because it was geared towards hate or bigotry?
Yeah, so I would say overall his intentions was certainly to provide unity and bring togetherness. However, intentions and perceptions can be different. So for that simple fact, from it being a Adolf Hitler quote, then yes, I would consider it anti-Semitic, even though his intentions was not along those lines. Just if for the very least, it is a Hitler quote. And in regards to the A1 Minute, that's something a video series I have on Instagram. That's really the my main initiative with that video series is to educate and to provide information when we look at the history of racism in this country and in a lot of different areas, sports included. There's a lot that society does not know. Even in school, I mean, we're 99% of the things I've learned about this country, especially in regards to Black Americans, has not come from school. So to alleviate that, I think that's another reason why Deshaun Jackson apologized, because even though his intentions was in one place, the way things came across was not the way he intended it to. So he issued that apology, and I don't think he would have posted that quote if he knew exactly the full details and the history behind it, and who actually said it. I'm not sure if he knew that or not, but if he had a very well-rounded understanding and was a little bit more educated on the subject matter, I'm pretty sure he would not have posted it, and thus, after he apologized. So for the video series, that's exactly something that I look to alleviate. I look on social media, and I'm a strong believer in being a lifelong learner. So I'm always trying to know more, do more, and be more. And through the video series, that's my way of just giving back to society and my followers. I talk about various different topics, racism being one of the bigger topics. I had a few different videos on that topic as well. And I get into different things from the history to the application, a lot of good talking points. Definitely check it out on my Instagram.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, man. Make sure you check out A1 Minute. All right. Nice. Got everybody involved. Got the baby in here. Hey. So right now, what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and transition into this 1 to 2 minute rapid fire. And I want you to give your answers about how you feel about certain situations. So the first thing I want to start off by saying is Cam Newton. He just left from the Carolina Panthers, and now he's with the New England Patriots. And everybody has been making a big deal about him getting the league minimum. I mean, this guy, he made it to the Super Bowl, broke records. He's done some extraordinary things, and he's only been given the league minimum. Your thoughts? Is this injustice or is it justified?
Injustice.
Quick.
BS on that.
Injustice, goddamn it.
Does anybody want to give like a 1 to 2 minute express?
I think we all want to.
Right.
Let me touch on this, man. I've been using wisdom and restraining myself as it pertains to words, but you get to that point to where you start getting that itch, man. Like, my thing is this. We would all agree that Cam Newton is better than Tim Tebow, right? Did Tim Tebow ever get league minimum anywhere he went? He went to the Jets and didn't even receive league minimum. So as it pertains to what we're talking about, going back to the original question as Vic Fangio, I don't expect Vic Fangio to see racism when you're on the opposite end of the people that are being oppressed. When we talk about Cam Newton and we talk about his background, not even as it pertains to his life and all of the charity that he's done, the fact that he's never been in any real issues, let's just keep it on the field. There is nobody that has came in and taken the world by storm like Cam Newton numerically. There's nobody that has been consistent with less than Cam Newton. So for the fact that he goes to a team that has no starting quarterback, you understand the history that comes with him and the dynamic ability that he has to on a football field. That is not only an injustice, it's a slap in the face, and it furthermore strengthens the point of what Black America is talking about. When we talk about the Colin Kaepernick situation, you have a person that has been ostracized from a league because he stood up for something that he believed in. When quote unquote, this country is about standing up for what you believe in. If we talk about protest, how did America become free? They protested. And their protest was a lot more violent than what Colin Kaepernick did. Again, strengthening the point of what Black America is feeling. So now that you turn on Instagram, you turn on Facebook, you turn on all these social media platforms, and you consistently see the injustice that's taking place, you can only imagine the fire that these young people have as it pertains to how they're utilizing their platforms and how they're utilizing their anger and frustration. Touching on Deshaun Jackson. Okay, we talk about the quote unquote anti-Semitic statement.
Well, Tony, I gotta cut you off right there because we're gonna have an open discussion and we'll be able to talk about that because I know
yeah, we got to talk on that because like it all goes hand in hand though.
Right, it does.
Again, this is a man's thought process. He has freedom of speech, so to speak, and because he puts out his thought, he's ostracized. And again, it goes right into what Colin Kaepernick is doing. So I think if all ties hand in hand. Eventually, what we have to start to realize, man, is that we're getting to a point in this world where we're going to have to be forced to come together. We're going to have to be forced to start our own thing. We're going to have to be forced to deal with one another. Of course, we understand the history of this when we do that, talking about Tulsa, Oklahoma. But at the end of the day, that shouldn't stop us from maneuvering in that same spirit, but understanding now how to maneuver, because we have something to look back on to determine what it is that we need to be doing in these times. So I can't wait for the open discussion. I'll mute my mic for that and sit here quietly. But you guys are on a heavy topic, and I got a lot more to say.
That's beautiful, man. Thank you for sharing that. I don't want to stay there because I have more questions, but I want to talk about Drew Brees and his comment about kneeling. Was it intentional? Because I want to know your thoughts about that. Because when someone said something and he didn't come back on camera and apologize. He did it through Twitter or through social media. And so I didn't know how sincere or authentic that apology was, or if it was done by his publicist. So does anybody want to speak about that?
Oh, I'll speak on that one. That flamed me personally because, you show pictures, because I even went, not almost back and forth, but I went back and forth with someone on Twitter about a picture of him taking a knee, and the first thing everybody want to tell me, oh, that wasn't during the national anthem. It wasn't the point. The point is you took a knee with your teammates, and you're on a team that's predominantly African-American in one of the other biggest African-American cities in our country in New Orleans, and you took a knee. And now the first thing you say after the George Floyd thing is, I won't take a knee because I respect my grandfather, however you put it, and to me, Prince, I think that was a PR move, because you said it on purpose because you wanted to be known. Whoever then the picture surfaced of him and Trump sitting next to each other. So of course we know again it's these MOs, these motives, and then when it got met with the backlash, and how it came down on him, he had to either run for cover or come back out and say something. And like you say, he did it through Twitter towards Trump to say, I'm going this route. But again, you are on a team, as we just spoke about it, as predominantly, or in a sport that's predominantly African-American, and then you're going to say these things. And I think a lot of people are just getting tired of everybody hanging on this whole thing of, taking a knee, disrespect the flag. And it has nothing to do with that. It's because someone created that image that's the problem. Again, Trump created that image of that's the issue with people taking the knees, that you disrespecting the flag, and it has nothing to do with the flag. I have my own uncle who was in the military for years. He said, I fought in order for them to do that on TV. Everybody that took a knee, Cam said he took a knee with his sister. He said himself, as a military guy, I fought for you guys to do that. So again, it has nothing to do with the flag, but again, to steer away from what we're trying to get across, they making it that thing. And I to me, still to this day, I think it's BS. And another aspect, and I'll mute myself, is when the lady that told, I forgot her name, that told LeBron and Kevin Durant to shut up and dribble, you wasn't voted to be a politician. But yet, if you notice, when everybody was going at Drew Brees, then all of a sudden her thing is, he has a right to speak his own opinion. It's not shut up and throw the football. Like you told LeBron to shut up and dribble and Kevin Durant to shut up and dribble. Two guys who do great stuff in the community. One guy that opened his own school for at-risk kids, and kids that me and Joe work with in the school system know it's his opinion. He can have that opinion, not shut up and throw the ball. That flamed me so much that I was on every network I was going in on and tagging whoever this and that, because I just it is crazy to me. That was a black and white thing. You can't go around that, because you got two African-American guys that are talking about what's going on, shut up and dribble, but then you have this, Drew Brees, white quarterback, he got a right to have his opinion. That's just clear right there.
Right. Yeah, I think as a leader, just as a football player or a professional athlete, it's not, whenever you have an interview, you are informed ahead of time, so you have time to answer these questions. They actually give you questions. They prompt you with questions so you can answer them, and you build up the courage to answer those questions the way that you want to answer them whenever you go live. And so he had time, so he was intentional about his statement. And also, I feel that him being a leader, he created a little bit of separation, in his team and the organization for making this comment, for stating his beliefs. And don't get me wrong, he stated his beliefs, and those are his beliefs. So I don't see anything wrong with that. But what everyone wanted him to do as a leader was to step up and say, hey, I'm with my brothers. We are on the field together. We bleed together. We sweat together. We look to win championships together. So now when you kind of leave them hanging, when the season starts, if the season starts, I'm not going to say he can't be mad if somebody allows for a hold open and someone sacks him, because that's a possibility. Players are trying to, it's like your family, your friends, or anyone. They'll look to get back at you, in the most revengeful way possible. So it's just some of these things that we just have to be mindful of. And as leaders, no matter what race you are, just be mindful of what comments that you're going to state, because it's going to have an impact on everybody in the world. So
You know what, Prince? If you don't mind me stepping in for a second, can I give me a thumbs up? Yeah, man. So to speak to that, with Deshaun Jackson's situation, I really appreciate Julian Edelman.
hold on. Man, this Deshaun Jackson, hold on. That's going to be for our open discussion. So
No, not to talk
Okay.
about that. No,
Okay.
it's related to the Drew Brees situation. So, in response to Deshaun Jackson's issue, situation, and what we would expect Drew Brees as a leader to respond, we saw Julian Edelman respond to Deshaun Jackson by saying, he would love to sit down and have a conversation to hear his thoughts about what he was trying to say. And also he invited him to visit the Holocaust Museum, and even said that he would love for Deshaun Jackson to take him to the African-American Smithsonian. And so, that really resonated with me, because that's what I feel needs to take place. I feel as though Drew Brees didn't take the time out to talk to his teammates and really get to know like the plights and what's going on in our communities. And a lot of times, when we play and we're in the locker room with each other, it's on the surface, and we get to know each other, but we really don't get to know each other from each other's hood and each other's background as much as we could. And so I really appreciate and applaud Julian Edelman for stepping up. And he didn't condemn Deshaun Jackson. That was more so of a leadership response, and him wanting to educate himself as well. And I feel as though Drew Brees, that really would have been great if he decided that he wanted to educate himself on the plight and everything that's going on in Black communities.
Oh, thank you for that. That was beautiful.
I gotta let my man Tavon know. That's who he was talking about, Laura Ingram.
Laura Ingram. Thank you for that, Tony. Thank you. So now this actually prompts me for my next question. And Joel, you had an opportunity to play with this individual. So after Drew Brees had made his statement, one of his new teammates, who is considered a leader in football, played for the Philadelphia Eagles, Malcolm Jenkins. He came out and he shared his thoughts with Drew Brees. And so yes, I he was definitely against it, and he was just like, man, you're a leader. You should take this leadership position and use this platform to help unite us, not divide us. So one of the things that I wanted to mention about Malcolm Jenkins is during this whole kneeling process or the police brutality of Kaepernick, kneeling, he was the one that was he became a voice that was heard, and all of the players started following him. And some of the things that he was doing was extremely clever. Whenever they would interview him, he would write down how many kids were brutalized by the police and how many were killed, all these young African-American kids. And he was giving the players a voice and making all the players feel strong. But at some point in time, he stopped. And so one day I was watching TV, and just like this ticker is going across the screen on this live stream, I saw that the NFL gave him donated $100 million to his foundation. And so shortly after that, all of his support stopped. And I didn't understand why Eric Reed was extremely mad at him. But then once I saw that ticker go across the screen, I knew exactly why he was mad at him. And for me, it seems like everybody has a price. So coming together, I don't see how they're going to come together when someone is throwing you $100 million and you had everyone behind you. You had a voice. Like, why did he take the $100 million?
Is that an
I'll speak to that.
I'm sorry. That's an open question. Whoever wants to answer that.
Right. Yeah. Let my brother Joel go, man. Please.
Hey, man, that's a tough one right there. I'm kind of torn with that situation because something similar happened with the Jay-Z situation in Kaepernick as well. And I saw Eric Reed speak out against both of those brothers. And, I have a problem with him speaking out against both of them because he's still playing for the same league that and is receiving a paycheck from this same league. And so that's kind of, what I spoke to earlier about, we are quick to criticize everyone in their own lane. We all can create change in our own way. In Kaepernick's way, I was quick to criticize people that were speaking out against Kaepernick. Ray Lewis being one who came on and was saying, he just needs to play and this and that. And I had an issue with that. And, I feel as though we can all create change in our own way without criticizing each other and, really appreciate one another. And we could come together that way as well. For the money situation, I'm not sure how I feel about that because obviously when you're doing community work, you do need funds to drive and do community things and uplift our people. So, I'm torn with that situation. I'm torn because I appreciate Kaepernick, Eric Reed, and all the brothers that took a knee. I appreciate Malcolm Jenkins, Torrey Smith, and other brothers who are helping to create and change legislation. I appreciate all those brothers and sisters out there that's actually, putting into action some programs and things of that nature because I think it's all needed. So that's my take on that, and I guess I'll let you guys speak on that as well.
Does anybody else want to speak on that?
Yeah, it's very simple, man. What you see is it pertains to Eric Reed and Malcolm Jenkins. There's a scripture in the Bible that says that surely oppression maketh the wise man mad, and the gift destroyeth the heart, meaning the mind. You can only do so much if the people that are seemingly placing you in the position that have less than are the same ones that are giving you the opportunity to provide for your people. So I don't really know what the community expected Malcolm Jenkins to do when his money came from the same organization that he was speaking out against. And that's a lot of times when you see brothers that's in the NFL, that's why you see they don't take certain stances as it pertains to, you know, their people. There's only so far that they'll go and that they'll touch on, because at the end of the day, like my brother brought out, you cannot bite the hand that feeds you. So I think that for us as a people, we have to understand that. And again, this goes right back to my point that you don't have to take these stands if you have your own, right? We're in a situation to where we're continuously in other people's league, asking the other people to change their rules that benefit them. Nowhere in the world does that make sense. If you're talking about the medieval times of rulership, I've never seen multiple kings ruling one land. There's one king and then there's subjects. The only time you have a land rulership as somebody that's going to be an aspiring king is if you have your own area for your own people to operate. So as long as we continue to try to operate on their platform, and I was on their platform for 10 years, so I speak from the inside. As long as you continue to operate on their platform as a Black community, please do not expect the majority, meaning the 70% of Black people that are in the NFL, please do not expect them to go above and beyond. Out of all the 1,500 players, 2,100 players or so that are in the NFL, there's one name that we continue to scream that went all the way, and that's Colin Kaepernick. So we just have to be mindful of these things. It's good to talk about, it's good to discuss, but when we're talking about the reality of a situation, everybody not built like that. So for those that are trying to do something for the community, like my man Joel brought out, I appreciate it, but just understand you can't bite the hand that feeds you. You got to use wisdom.
Man, wow, that was beautiful. Thank you for that, Tony. Thank you for that. Well, we're going to go ahead and go into our second break. The audience, if you are tuning in, please, if you have questions, hit that hashtag ask, hashtag comments as well. If you have something for our guests, please. We will be discussing it in open discussion. So when we come back, we're going to be speaking about solutions, our open discussion, and how we can implement these solutions that we have. All right. See you guys in 2 minutes. Peace. And we are back. Hey, everybody. And welcome to Game Beyond the Game presents Talk That Talk, a 2-hour special on nil or no nil, racism and social injustice in professional sports. Ooh, we've been having some sensitive and hot topics that we've been discussing. And again, I want to let my guys know that they're doing an amazing job. I know our audience is tuning in, and we're going to be able to answer some of their questions that they have for us in our open discussion. But we still have a lot more questions to answer, or we still have a lot more questions to answer for our rapid fire. So we're going to finish that up, and then we're going to segue into our open discussion so we can answer these questions from our audience. If you're tuning in, make sure that you have a beverage. Make sure that you have a fan to cool you down for some of these hot topics and these sensitive topics, no matter what race you are, because what we're looking to do is educate people and make sure that we unite people as well. As we educate ourselves, we get a chance to learn more about some of the things that we fear. And when you lack the knowledge for things, that means you fear it. And so in order to learn it or to know about it, and for your fear to disappear, you have to educate yourself. So keep tuning in. Please share this with other people, make comments, and look forward to more of this great 2-hour special. So we're going to go ahead and okay. So we're going to go ahead and get ready to jump into the second part of this rapid fire. I want to talk about baseball, MLB. So we have Ian Desmond. I'm not sure if you guys know, but he said that he will not be playing this upcoming 2020 season because of the racial and social injustice and spend time with his family. Any thoughts on that? Has anybody heard anything about that?
No, I haven't heard it, but it makes sense. Again, he's coming from a place of security, especially when you talk about the contractual arrangements that happen in MLB. So a lot of times when you're financially secure, it allows you to make the decisions that are really true to your heart. So I commend the brother, for taking a stance. And, it's brothers like that you would love to see, link up with the Colin Kaepernicks of the world and link up with those that are, in the fight and that are doing things, to promote Black awareness and Black excellence. So, I commend the brother, but that's as far as I'll go because I don't really have a true in-depth understanding of the situation.
Nice. For me, I thought it was a brave stance. I have a couple of friends that are in the Major League Baseball, and one of the things that they told me is that the image, it looks like there's a lot of Black Americans in the game, but he was just like, they really are not. He said a lot of these guys that come from different countries like Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, and they have the dark skin. So if your TV is muted, you're like, oh man, it's a Black guy and another Black guy in Major League Baseball. But he said the truth of the matter is, he said they can barely speak English, and he said so. A lot of these guys are from different countries, and he said the Black Americans don't really get that much of an opportunity to be able to play. So these are some of the things that we have to discuss openly. You have to shed light on something that is the obvious, but it's disguised to look like something else. So thank you, Ian Desmond, for actually standing up. NASCAR, Bubba Wallace, him making that stance and then getting criticized by the person in power. And do you think that what he has done has allowed for him to be that much more powerful, or did he shoot himself in the foot? Does anybody want to take that question?
Who are you talking about, as far as the president or as far as Bubba Wallace?
As far as Bubba Wallace, not the president wants to shoot himself in the foot. He's the president.
I'll tell you right now, I'm rocking with Bubba. I might need some Bubba gear. You know what I mean? That's a cool cat right there. Having a brother in NASCAR, man. I wouldn't imagine that to happen. And I need some gear ASAP.
Yeah, I agree with Cam. I think it's huge, especially in a sport that is or was built the way it was built. and around what it was built, around and what it was built. Even the president, the one that said, why he wanted to strip away the Confederate, he had to dig deep his own self to see, wow, my family was built this based off of what was put in that Confederacy, and it's not cool. So for him to break through that in a sport, I believe that a lot of them thought that we couldn't conquer, because we conquer a lot of sports. Anything that we put our hand on, we want to push that gas pedal. And for us to be able to break into it in that fashion, and for him to receive that type of support, because I start following him last year, even before a lot of stuff popped off. Last year, I would follow him on Twitter, and I was like, man, this is cool. You know what I mean? To be able to see that now, and again, what it was built on, and the premise behind it of the Confederate flag and the mind state of it is awesome. I love the fact that he still hit the gas pedal, even though, again, how he's being portrayed in the narrative that Trump wants to push to get his followers, because November is coming around, to ask him for an apology when he didn't find the object or find the noose. And again, Joe had posted, it was a noose. I'm not gonna lie, you can see that. But again, to push him to do it, and that made me, even more like, wow, like what he is pushing, in our country, which is already crumbling anyway, that you're going to really push that towards him, and he wasn't the one that found or located that. Another powerful thing to me was seeing everybody walking beside his car, again, in a sport where you remember when the pandemic first hit, the one race car driver that shot the word nigga on the virtual racing that he did, and he lost all his sponsors. You know what I mean? So again, for them to do that, to walk by his car, everybody, to the starting line, was amazing to me. It's something, again, like Tony touched on about, we have to coincide and work together. We're going to be forced to do it some way. And it's even going to be in the way we see now, where a lot of us are starting to stand up and say, we're not doing the wave the sign stuff no more, or we're going to really sit down and talk about it. And I believe now the token the sign thing, it's not happening anymore. It's a different mind state now. It's not, you're going to keep crumbling or pushing me and kicking me. Okay, we're going to start charging back. And we're starting to see little videos of that where they say, well, you just got to do what you got to do, but I'm not going to continue to take this, So yeah, shout out to Bubba Wallace and with Cam on that one.
I'm not even sure what Bubba Wallace is supposed to be apologizing for. I mean, the fact that, it wasn't just placed there, it's been the news been there for months and months. Like, that's even worse. I mean, that goes to show that it's been sitting there. Everybody clearly walked past this garage and see it, but okay, I'm gonna just leave that there because I support that symbol anyway. Like, that makes it an even bigger problem. So I mean, in regards to Bubba apologizing, why are we even why is this the main topic of discussion? America in general has always been a place where they oppress or try to brutalize someone, and then when the victim fights back in any way, shape, or form, they call them out as, you're being aggressive and such. But how did this get started? That's something I talk about in the A1 Minute series as well. We need to really get down to the root cause of these racial systemic problems, because as long as we're addressing different symptoms, there will always be problems. Like that's not the initial cause of why we got to where we're at right now. So I commend Bubba. I definitely stand, like I'm sure everyone here stands with Bubba, and keep on representing in a sport that you don't see too many Black Americans in general. I think he might be the only one right now on the professional series. So definitely big props to Bubba.
Man, that was really awesome that you said that. So real quick, now you guys, everybody made such an important remark or comment about this. So it brings you back to Drew Brees, Deshaun Jackson, Bubba Wallace, and Trump. And so how? So Trump said he should apologize for what he's doing. And everyone can agree it was just like, why should he apologize? He was the one that was being antagonized. So now you get a Deshaun Jackson put something out to help with his mental clarity because of what's going on in the world. And most people say that he offended other people. And someone told him that he should come out and apologize. Well, he came out and apologized on camera after he said something. Now, when we talk about Drew Brees, he said something and did not come back on camera to apologize. It was somebody else that did it for him, or he may have done it himself. But I don't see him having a verbose type of response where it's just like, hey, I just want to let everybody know that I apologize, and then post a picture saying, all lives matter and Black Lives Matter as well. So I'm trying to figure out why is it that everybody is coming down so hard on Deshaun Jackson. Now, I get it. People say that he offended other people, and I know it's associated with him. But he was expressing himself because he was feeling like he's being oppressed. Now, he came out and apologized. Drew Brees didn't really come out and apologize. And then when he did, or whenever that message was put up, Trump was just like, you don't have to apologize for nothing. So why is it that, just be very candid, why is it that Black people have to feel that they have to apologize and white people are like, I don't have to apologize for nothing? Why is it that?
White privilege.
You want the real answer?
Was that what you was going to say, Alvin? White privilege?
More or less. I
mean,
mean, the history of America is literally built on white privilege, more or less. I mean, that's it, from the beginning of time when Europeans came over here and established, this is European land now. Take it away from the Native Americans. Then we're going to go to Africa. Oh, now you're my property now, and bring Africans back to America. Like, there's so much in American society that points directly to white privilege or white superiority, from the judicial system to even religion and the church to social constructs within sports. I mean, you look at the owners right now, the NFL. What percentage? 99% is about white. There's many examples all over the country of this, and that's really what it comes down to. And until we address that specific item, there always will be problems.
Yeah, I agree with the brother, man. At the end of the day, and it's 100%. We go ahead and give them that one that they have. There is no Black owners in the NFL. I will tell you this, that 70% of the NFL is Black, and 99.999% of the people that make the decision of that 70% are not. So when you're talking about America and what it stands for, it's the oldest, like my big brother says, man, that's the oldest trick in the book. You tell me one thing, but then you pull the wool from over my pull a rug from underneath, right? We talk about equality, but is there really equality? When you look at all the establishments of what percentage of anything that is owned by just minorities in general, the number is astronomically lopsided. So my thing is are we in a place to where we're finding a country or equality, or are you being told equality to pacify you so that you won't uprise? That's a question about that.
Oh, it's definitely the pacifier. And I feel it's definitely the pacifier because, if we came together as a people, and, I just think about those top, celebrity, top tier athletes like a LeBron James, or if we could get those guys to kind of lead the way as far as, creating our own. I really agree with Tony as far as like the Black Wall Street, because the crazy thing is Tulsa, Oklahoma wasn't the only Black Wall Street that existed. And the sad thing is, I know Alvin had talked about, teaching history. We never learned about any successful Black folks as far as economic basis, or we never learned about different histories as far as like America's a melting pot at this point. And so we got people of all different types of backgrounds, cultures, nationalities. And so when we talk about American history, it shouldn't just be white history that we learn in the schools. And so that needs to be revamped. I mean, shucks, we just getting, people of color in the books now these days, and that's hard to find. So, I mean, the history of America has always been built on, like Alvin said, white supremacy or white superiority, and that needs to change if we're going to talk about, being equal with each other. Other than that, and like Tony said, they just, giving us the pacifier, so we'll shut up and we won't say much.
Listen, I'll tell you this, and I agree with my brother a lot, man. Let's talk about it. We're talking about American history. Get out American history. Understand that Black history goes beyond slavery. Understand that there's multiple tools and books that are out there that give you the understanding. For instance, Blacks ruled Europe for over 1,000 years. There's a history lesson for those that don't know. Look it up. King James is a Black man. King Constantine, St. Helena, these are Black people. Look it up. I mean, there's multiple outlets, but there's an old proverb that says, if you want to hide anything from a Black man, you could finish it, because we all know it. We have to start putting down media and start picking up literature, because in the literature is where you're going to find your truth. In the literature is where you're going to find your history. If it was not so, then how come during the time of slavery, if you were found with a book or trying to read, you were killed for it? What was in these books that were so important to where if you just try to understand what was being said, you will be put to death? Now we no longer have to be put to death because we won't even pick it up. So I think that there's a lot of history that we need to dive into. I think that there's a lot of history that we need to discover. And if I'm gonna be perfectly honest, I think that we, and I'm gonna speak to my brothers, Black men, need to stop apologizing for our truth. That's the first place it needs to start. We need to stop apologizing if our truth offends you. Because quite frankly, I'm offended that my people have been oppressed for over 400 years. And then when we talk about it, we're the ones that are aggressive. No, you were the aggressor when you came over here and you took something that didn't belong to you. You were the aggressor when you went to another land, brought us to a place that we didn't even want to be in, and you made us build up your economy, build up your society, and then you put rules in place after you wanted to elevate and move beyond slave labor into an industrial area, to where now you can still keep us enslaved by putting us in the prison system. So when we see the type of things that are taking place as it pertains to police brutality, understand this, that the forming of police came from slave catchers. So if we're going to talk about it, let's talk about it. Know your history. That's why I am telling you, like, again, I'm a heavy Bible-based reader. There's a scripture in Zephaniah 2:1. I implore everybody to read it. Gather yourselves together, O yea, gather, O nation not desired. If nobody likes you, build your own. Like Mama said, if they're not going to let you play the game, go start your own game. That is what I'm about. I'm about ownership. I'm not about finding the equality of working in your corporation, because for thousands of years you have proved that there will be no equality. That's cool. I'm going to take my group, we're going to take our ball, and we're going to leave and build our own thing. And what it comes down to is finding brothers and sisters that are like-minded, that have that and are willing to stand firm on that. Now, when you do that, know that trial, tribulation, and adversity is going to come, because you again are building something that doesn't involve the people that brought you here. And we all know that they don't like it if you do something without them. Be prepared for that, for those that are wanting to do that. That's what I'm on. That's what the people that I associate myself are on, and that's the way that we're moving. So Black men, stop apologizing. Protect your children, protect your women, stay committed to your woman, understand that marriage builds nations, and move that way. And with that, I'm muting my mic.
Wow. Well, don't mute your mic, just drop the mic. Wow. Okay. So, wow, that leads me into my next question. Or my next topic. The WNBA players called for Kelly Loeffler's removal as the dream owner over Black Lives Matter stance. So basically, Loeffler wrote a letter saying that she doesn't support the Black Lives movement, and she doesn't support the players actually wearing these African Americans that were affected by police brutality and the killing to actually wear their names on the back. So the WNBA players, they are doing a wonderful thing, an amazing thing, and the women are standing up, and they're saying enough is enough, because they actually just did a tweet of 9 letters that said enough, out, and that was it. And that's very powerful because they are showing some type of unity, and they are actually setting the stage for the male athletes to be able to take a stance, because it seems like the male athletes are still kind of bought over by, well, oh man, I got a season, I want to win the championship, I want to do this, I want to do that. But I think the thing is a lot of players are afraid to like take a stance, and then if there's no season, they'll say to themselves, well, what's next?
Right.
It's around twiddling their thumbs. But what's next is educating your family while you are present, while you're there, helping them build financial wealth, teaching them about this, because I am afforded an opportunity to work with all types of individuals, every single race, Jewish, white, Black, and they are in high places. And I hear a lot of the conversations that go on in these different households. And it's almost like I'm a fly on the wall, because I walk in right around the time where I hear them speaking, and when they're not supposed to be saying certain things, but I just have an opportunity to listen to it. I'm like, wow, that's interesting. I was just like, I read that in a book, and now for me to actually see it in action, I'm just like, oh, okay, cool. Well, keep on, don't stop because I'm here, because like I am not the person to say, hey, you shouldn't be doing that, because I know that it goes on. I know that people say the N-word behind closed doors. So it's no secret. So what I want to say is, one, thank you for the WNBA to speak up. And then 2, South Carolina women's basketball coach Dawn Staley, she spoke up as well. And she was just saying that we need to fight for equality as well. So if anybody have any thoughts on that, please, you can make your comments. Just say, shout out to the women in sports, and thank you for standing up and making a difference, because that's what we need. And I think the male athletes need to see them and follow suit.
Yeah, I think that's right, man. Right now, when it comes to Black lives, right, we want the white counterparts to be like, hey, I'm riding with my guy. That's what we wanted Drew Brees to do, to ride for us, right? And when it comes to women, and especially Black women, I'm sure everybody's wife or everybody's mom has said, for Black women in America, it's the toughest, the absolute toughest, right? And for Black men, we're becoming an endangered species right now. We're seeing that through the cop killing and all this and that. And how we wanted our white brothers and sisters to ride for us for Black Lives Matter, and how we want them to still do that, we have to ride for women. And when it comes to corporate America, when it comes to sports, we got to ride. We got to ride for them. We got to uplift them. And I think, NFLPA does a great job. They have that Beto Women T-shirt. I think that's super fire. But I have a little sister. You know what I mean? I have a mom and a grandma and a partner. I want to boost them up as much as possible, just like we want the white folks to boost the Black people up right now, what we're going through in America.
Yeah, I agree with Cam. I mentioned it earlier that the WNBA was the first to jump out and follow behind Kaepernick with the whole, hey, if so be it. If you're gonna take me away, it's gonna take me away. You look at Maya Moore, what she did for a whole 2 seasons to get that man out, the push to get him out of prison, who was in jail for 50 years or something like that. So she said it like, I don't need basketball. I believe in helping individuals, and it does take our women, again, go back to our moms and the stuff they had to endure. I remember seeing a video once stuff started popping off. One of this doctor had explain the whole premise behind why they thought, Black women were strong, because they would have babies without any type of medicine, anesthesia, and things like that. So they believe that they can take everything on their shoulders. And I think, our male athletes, we do have to step up, and I think it may be a hesitant, not only because of the money factor, but because of the weight that we carry. We're always told we have to be this way. We got to be that way. You can't do this. You can't say that. If you step up and put your shoulders out, then you intimidate. You move a certain way, you risk being shot, or you risk being seen in a certain way. We got all of these categories or these don'ts or do's and don'ts on us that sometimes we are confused. So we fall back to what we need to fall back to, and it being a safe mode. But like Cam said, even like Joe said about some of these guys that are up there, if they keep dredging along and push even more, it will allow for some of the male athletes to say, you know what, bump this, I'm going to go ahead and push for the things that I see and the things that I want. It takes that sacrifice. Tony just said it itself. It takes that sacrifice sometimes. You're always not going to get that. You're going to hit the gas pedal and you're going to have the sunny days as well. There's always going to be some gloom in there, but you got to keep pushing too. And just like Cam, I have two daughters. One, she just turned 20 on the 8th, and I have a 14-year-old, and my wife as well. So with my daughters, once, everything popped off, I immediately told them, y'all are beautiful young ladies. Don't let no one tell you no different. I sent them that Jack Ross song, It's Okay to Be Black, and just keep reminding them, because they're older than their brothers, to keep reminding them that y'all have a place in a society and don't falter that or shake that up for anybody. So I'm having that conversation with them because I know they're at that level where they're going to branch out. They're branching out already, and they're going to run up against certain things, and being Black young women. So I definitely agree with the WNBA, and shout out to my girl Staley, who went to UVA, for saying that we need that though. You know what I mean? Our women are leading that charge, and like you said, we do got to protect them. We got to support them, and even with us, saying, shaking each other's hand, walking down the street. I started doing a little test, just walk down the street. If I see somebody, a brother, I'll just say, hey man, how you doing? Just to speak, because we don't do that. We try to play tough so much that we won't even just speak to somebody walking past, and it would throw people off because like, wow, this dude's speaking to me. But that little thing right there can change the makeup of somebody, because we don't know what that person was going to do if you didn't speak to them or say hello to them, because you don't know what's manifesting in their head. You know what I mean? So it's embracing us as men as well, you know what I mean, and putting that whole tough liner down. Like, we can be, to the point where we support each other, and it doesn't seem like we have a motive behind it,
Man, that is so awesome that you say that, man. That is well put. I know you guys have mentioned about LeBron James. You keep mentioning him. And I want to mention a commercial that he had when he was running, and it seemed like everybody was running behind him. And like, if we look at the commercial now, I think that's a very powerful commercial, because we keep saying, people like LeBron James, if you make a stance, like Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, if they make a stance, then everybody will follow them. And so they have everyone's support. And I think Nike did a really good job in helping him create that commercial, which brings me to my next topic. Nike, we haven't been speaking much about Nike, but man, Nike has been doing a really good job in supporting the players. Their mission has always been, it's about the players. That's what the company was for. And so they've always been putting themselves out there when everyone was trying to oppress or castrate, Kaepernick. They came in and they swooped him up and they came to his aid, and it was like, wow, thank you guys for doing something like this, and to making sure that these athletes are not treated like slaves, but treated like human beings. And so I just wanted to speak about this brand, Nike, who is supporting players, and how they put the chokehold on the Redskins to change their name. They stopped selling their apparel. And so they are looking for equality as well. And I appreciate Nike for doing that. So just wanted to share that, If you guys want to make a comment on it, you can. If not, we're going to go ahead and go into the commercial. So that's what we're going to do. Anybody want to speak about that? If not, that's fine.
I'll speak to. I definitely appreciate Nike, but I want to speak to the person that represents them. I guess the most right now, which is LeBron James. I think that if a lot of us brothers took on the same mentality of having, a Rich Paul, a Maverick Carter, a Randy, a Mims, I believe it is, in understanding, hey, this is what we're going to do. We're going to build together. I'm really going to push that. If you guys don't get anything else from me, it's going to be that. I appreciate Nike. I appreciate what they do. I appreciate the fact that they were the ones that stepped up and, had our brother Kaepernick under their wing as he was, fighting for the cause. But I also want to look at the example and another of LeBron James. And another thing I want to speak on is this. I look forward to the day that the black man and the black woman stop being counterparts to one another and start becoming in unison again. We came here on ships. We came here together and we fought the repression. It's time for us to start to unify again. And I'm really pushing that as well, because as you talked about, man, these sisters, man, they strong, man. They strong. And they're forced to be that way because as men, we are not doing a wonderful job. I'm not talking about individuals. I'm talking about us as a collective unit. We're not doing a wonderful job showing them what strength looks like. So they're forced to be in a position to take stands. There should have been no reason why the WNBA came out prior to the NBA, or even not even going to the NBA prior to the NFL. And again, that speaks to us. That's like my man, Mr. Mason talked about, as it pertains to, taking a stand, being strong in what you believe in. You have a lot of people, and PJ, you know this to be true, man, because we have these conversations, man. You have a lot of people in that locker room that don't agree with probably 70 to 85% of the things that go on, but they will never say nothing because if it affects their bottom line, if it affects their check, then all of a sudden I have to fall back. And that is because we don't think in our community, right? Again, I'm speaking as a whole, that we can do anything other than provide for our family by playing sports. And I fell victim to that as well. It wasn't until I started getting into my 5th, 6th, and 7th year that I started seeing, man, there are multiple ways to take care of my family. I don't have to suppress my truth in order to get a check. And I think that if we're able to provide platforms for these brothers that are in the media, that's a lot of different things.
That's so awesome. We're going to go into our third break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about solutions, implementations, and applicable actions. So make sure that you stay tuned. Like I said, if you need to take a restroom break, please take that break. But we will be back soon. Thank you for tuning in to Game Beyond the Game Talks That Talk as we talk about nil or no nil, racism and social injustice in professional sports. See you in a bit. back. Welcome to Game Beyond the Game Talk that talk nil or no nil. It's a 2-hour special as we talk about racism and social injustice in professional sports. Hey, we are going to go to an open discussion. We want to answer some of these questions from our audience, and also with some of the questions that I asked earlier, they were directed to certain individuals, Tavon, maybe Joel. But if Tony, Gerris, Cam, you guys want to speak about a topic that you felt you could have answered another way, please give your perspective. Please share it so our audience can hear. Look to help and educate everyone that is tuning in and listening. And after we finish with that, we're going to implement our solutions, our implementations, and our applicable actions. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take some questions from our audience. Let's see who had the first question. We have my man Festus Amoye. He said, what are some of the things they are doing to lead in the community what are some of the things that the NFL is doing, or some of the players are doing to lead them in the community since they are retiring? What are some of the things that players are doing to lead in the community since retiring?
I will say this real quick. Really just creating change at our colleges. I know we spoke about this, but Syracuse right now, we're leading an initiative to get a D&I officer, a diversity inclusion officer at our school. So I'm retired. Last time I played in college was about 5 years ago. You know what I mean? So it feels long, but I mean, for you all, it might feel a little bit longer, but I do think it's important regardless to, pour back into that school and make sure that the guys that are walking through the same locker rooms and they're taking those steps that you took, make sure that they have the resources. So that's what we're doing.
Nice.
In Baltimore, I know myself, I have an organization where I work with youth in Baltimore, and we provide resources and opportunities for youth, whether it be tutoring, whether it be college tours, mentorship, sports leagues. We have a free flag football league. We've been giving out devices and computers to kind of bridge the technological gap in this time of COVID-19. And so I just feel as though it's necessary to kind of provide those opportunities and resources for all youth, especially in our inner city communities.
Nice. Okay. Well, we're going to go on to the next question. The next question is, what are some things that fans can do to support players, especially those that aren't in the Hall of Fame type?
I feel as though they can actually, follow what we're doing in the community. A lot of us, are in the community, boots to the ground, grassroots. And so if you have a player or you have anyone, for that matter, in your community that's actually grassroots doing volunteering, helping out in our communities, then be a part, whether it be donating money, donating your time, donating your resources. Like I said, everybody has a lane. So whatever that lane is, help out in some way and fashion. I think that would be a big support.
Anybody else? All right. So we'll move on to the next question. So India Keys, she said, not biting the hand that feeds you is a safe stance to take. Some may even say respectable. How would that help the progression of the NFL and other corporations if everyone had that same viewpoint?
Well, I think if we're being quite honest, a lot of the people in the NFL have that viewpoint, which is the reason why Colin Kaepernick could take a stand for an entire group of people and be the only one left out. If other people took the same stance as Colin Kaepernick, do you think that it would be 5 years since this brother been back in the league? If every brother that stood up, and if you want to include all the other nationalities, great, include them. Let's just say all the NFL that are players, since we talk about the quote unquote brotherhood. One of your brothers has taken a stance and said, this ain't right, man, and we got to do something about it. Who's going to roll with me? And he was by himself. So it's not about if, It's about what is happening. And again, I'm not blaming anybody. This is not a shot. I don't want it to feel as though it is a shot. I'm just speaking the truth. As we look back on the situation, this is what took place. So I think that most importantly, conversations like these need to happen. Prince, I appreciate you for putting this on first and foremost, man. I'm so grateful to be a part of it along with these young kings on this platform. But I think that we need to, again, I'm going to push it again since we're about to wrap up. Why can't we create our own? We got enough. You got the finances, you got the money, you just need the mindset. That's my stance.
Wow, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Man, all right. So we now have another question. Shanita Keys, do you think that racism in professional sports is accepted or minimized due to the lack of Black ownership? Anybody want to answer that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would agree. It's definitely minimized. I mean, we see it all the time with our Black quarterbacks in some form of leadership. They, get a shorter end of the stick, as you would say, in comparison to their white counterparts. And so it's definitely, kind of swept under the rug and overlooked as far as, racism and the oppression and discrimination as far as Black people are concerned.
I personally know people that I've played with that have been discriminated against by white coaches, personally. And some are just now getting the strength to come out and talk about the reality of the situation. And so I commend those brothers that are doing it. But I had the privilege of playing for Mike Tomlin. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. Them are different conversations when I'm talking to Mike Tomlin versus if I'm talking to a Sean Payton. And I'll just leave it at that.
Oh, very powerful. Very powerful. So looks like we have a couple more questions, but we'll keep an open discussion. What I want to say is, where do we go from here? And also, kneel or no kneel?
Neil.
Okay.
Easy.
I really appreciate what Tony's been talking about as far as, building our own wealth, building our own, and, that seems as though it's that would create a sustainability for us as a people where we can kind of support our own folks. And that's not to say that, we don't want to integrate or whatever the case may be. But I find that I see it in the Jewish community where they've kind of built a base where they support their own. In the Asian community, they've built a base where they support their own. They even have their own like grants or monies that they give for folks that's just starting out. And so I feel as though we can do that and still be a part of, part of America and part of society. But that I feel is key for us as a people to actually rise all together. Like that's key for us to start creating our own base and supporting our own.
Man.
Yeah, I'll say any sort of progress will have to start with some type of group economics. Like Tony was mentioning ownership. You're either an owner or a consumer, or you're either a lender or a borrower. Even the Bible speaks on that as well. So as a community, we most certainly have to practice, putting our minds together, like was mentioned previously with LeBron and all of his friends. That's why he's able to do a lot of the things he does in the community, because when you have great minds put together, you're able to move forward in a collective effort, and no one person will be as strong as the collective group. We have to certainly practice more unity and camaraderie in that department.
Awesome. Well said. So, fellas, before we run out of time, I want to get to the solutions and the implementations and the applicable actions, because a lot of times you have one of these great discussions and we never get an opportunity to talk about implementation. We talk about solution, but we don't talk about the actions to follow those solutions. So this is where we share our beautiful minds and our thoughts about the things that we know that will work and how people can start implementing them in their life. So one of the questions I want to ask is, what do we tell the younger generation? What do we tell these young Black kings and queens and these individuals, as Tony mentioned?
I think it starts with starting off by just embracing them. I think for with being an adult, sometimes I know I used to get when I was young. You don't have nothing to worry about. You don't got no nerves, or you don't really have a voice. I think the kids now, we have to realize they have a voice, and if they don't get heard, they're going to show you their voice, and that's what we're starting to see. And again, I refer back to Joel and I, because we do the same thing in the school system, and we see it from the kids. Whether it's with him and his mentoring, with his foundational, me with my mentoring group at the school I work at, the kids want to be heard, but they also want to be embraced, and they would unzip that tough outer shell if someone listens to them and someone embraces them, whether it's a "what's up," "how you doing," or just a text to see what's going on with you, or allow them to vent. I think a lot of times, and I'm guilty with it sometimes too, but we are quick to shut them down and to push our own agenda, our own narrative, or push our own voice to try to force them to move how we want them to move. I think if it starts there, start embracing them in that manner, then they'll be open to hearing the stuff that Alvin said, the stuff that Cam said, the stuff that Tony and Joel said, you know what I mean? But right now, if you're coming to them like this, the finger pointing out, first thing they're going to think, oh, what's up? What you trying to do? So all that listening goes out the window. Is now, okay, is the same way you think about it when an animal is cornered. The first thing to do is to show their teeth. You know what I mean? And that's how I see with starting with our youth is if they're cornered, the first thing they're going to think of is, how do I get out of this position of you cornering me? So the first thing is either going to attack by words, because they see some type of flaw you have, to attack by words, or to attack by force. So I think with embracing them first, talking to them, allowing them to talk to us, and allowing us to hear them, it'll help them in a run, and they can hear what the stuff that we want them to give, or want them to have, and want them to be able to do that self.
Awesome. Anybody else?
I know I've been beating a dead horse, but what does that look like if they see themselves as opposed to seeing their counterparts? So I feel like, again, it's on our community. It's on the as we like to call it. We now are the OGs of the community. It's on us to create school systems. It's on us to create an ownership mentality for these kids to be able to see themselves in us. It really just boils down to that, man. And I keep harping on it because at the end of the day, that's when you're going to start to see the change. I think for us as a nation of people, it's okay to say, you know what, hey, all other communities, we're going to take a timeout. We got some stuff we got to get straight within our own community. And then once we have our things established, then we'll open back up for business. What's wrong with it? That's when we talk about the Asian community, isn't that what they do? When we talk about the Jewish community, isn't that what they did? It's the same thing. So why reinvent the wheel? Take the same premise. Let's come together. Let's get past the seeing us as what we've been called, which is the N-word, which is derogatory statements that we're not. Let's get past the history that we've been force-fed and understand who we truly are. Let's start to unravel some of these things. Let's start to deal with ourselves in love and in kindness as a community. The same love and kindness that we extend to everybody else, let's extend that inward. And then let's see if we can shift mindsets and see if those changes that we're wanting to happen. Because if not, if you continue to, it's kind of like my kids. if my son is playing with his friend and he's treating his brother bad, I'm a bad parent if I don't bring my son in and say, hey, I know that's your friend, but this is your brother. Nobody comes before your brother. You can play with your friend. Be cordial with your friend. Nobody comes before your brother. I know these are other people, but we are black people first. Nobody should come before us. That's what everybody else is doing, but it seems as though when we say that, it's frowned upon. I'm telling y'all, and PJ, you said in your document that we can say one cuss word. I don't give a damn how you feel about us getting together to happen, and you just gonna have to sit there and take it.
I love it, man. So real quick, we got to wrap this up, but
I got a question.
Yes.
You asked us, PJ, Neil or no Neil, man?
I would say no Neil, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because I don't think there should be a season. I think it is time for everybody to step up and unite and say, I'm sitting out this season. And I will not kneel. I will not listen to no Black National Anthem. I will not allow for anybody to oppress me anymore. We got to have some dignity about ourselves. We got to be able to look in the mirror and we got to be able to say, I am worthy of something. Because when I talk about my solutions, I'm talking about we need to start going back to Africa, going back to different continents and seeing what life is like. I had an opportunity to go back to Ghana, where my father is from. And I had a chance to go to Cape Town, to the castles. And I had a chance to sit inside the castle and put myself there where the room was so hot. The conditions were inhumane. And I sat there for 15 minutes and I remember crying. And I said to myself, I will never, ever let this happen to another person in my life while I'm alive. I'm going to use my mind, my body, and my spirit to make a change. And then that's when I started really looking within myself. And I started seeing the gift that I have. And I started seeing how my spirit is connected to the Creator. And I started realizing that the way that the Jewish community overcame the Holocaust was by using their mind, their body, and their spirit. And they overcame that. And so what we have to do is do the exact same thing. Use our mind, our body, and our spirit to overcome all of this hate, everything that's going on. Because science says that we are supposed to evolve. Why aren't you letting a race evolve? What's going on in this world? Where are we? We are human beings. And so now it is time for us to lead mankind into a new era. So we can laugh and have a good time and be able to do business with other people and be able to learn about them and be able to educate them as they educate us. Well, they've already been educating us, so they need to learn more about us. I'm tired of it. And I'm not asking for equality. I'm just asking for allow for us to do our thing. Because I've seen it. I've been in a situation where I was the only Black person in the room. And as soon as I walk in, everyone is the energy that I feel is, you are nobody. Why are you here? Who are you? And so when I receive that energy, the first thing I do, I feel so comfortable in myself because I've learned how to love myself. I see myself as a person first and foremost. And so what I do, wherever we are, I start dancing and having a good time. And everybody that has that notion about me, they start dancing too, and they don't understand why there's some type of rhythm going on. And they see me as like, why are you acting like this now? And the reason I'm acting like that is because you've already told me that you don't accept me, so I don't need to be accepted by you. I accept myself. I love myself. So I'm okay with being who I am in a room full of people that do not look like me, sound like me, and understand my pain and my struggle. So that's the reason why I say don't kneel, because I don't see any purpose in kneeling in the first place, because it's going to create chaos. You're going to think that, we're against the military. And it's not that. And I think it's time for the players to demand, great conditions. Demand, a voice to be able to speak up and stop being treated like slaves. This is 2020. We're in a whole new era where there is AI. There is, so much technology at our fingertips. If there's something that we don't know, we can Google it. You can look it up on YouTube. Stop asking people to stop killing you. Because when you reach puberty or you get married, you don't go and ask your parents, hey, can I have kids? You go and do it. So now is the time to actually step up, use your voice, use your spirit, connect with one another, and make a difference in this world. And it starts with us. And once we can do that, then I guarantee you that this place will be a better place. And I stress the importance of mindfulness and meditation, because once you look within, then you start connecting with the source. And when you start doing that, then you start realizing your power. Other than that, we're going to have to cut it short, man. We got to go. I'm sorry I got into it. It's the first time I had a chance to express myself. But, fellas, I want to thank you so much, man. This means a whole lot. I hope that it reaches everybody in the world. And I hope everyone gets a chance to hear us and be educated by this. I'm looking to have some more things, some more specials. But, man, if you would like to be a part of this, please let me know so we can make the world a better place. We can make this world a better place, because it just takes us, and it takes somebody to step up to be a leader and not be bought out by the hand that feeds. So I say that to say, any parting words from anybody?
Yeah, I'd just like to say, man, it's great meeting all of y'all. Outside of Joel, like I said, we talk all the time, but it's great meeting you guys, man. And while we was early in the segment, I was following all of y'all on IG. I added my foundation IG page underneath the chat. But, man, it's great to talk with you guys. I think this is one of the things that will jumpstart that when we as Black men start to accept each other and soften that exterior. I think that's like one of our, one of our biggest issues is we feel like we gotta one up each other as Black men in order to get ahead and realize we're on the same ground. But
I feel that the only reason that we do that is I stress this and I say this. I tell people to watch the movie Django, and the reason why we feel like we have to up one another is because we've been pitted, to fight to the death, and that translates into our DNA from one generation to the next, to the next, to the next, and that is the reason why we're killing each other, because it was for someone else's entertainment. Yeah. And so now it's time. You need to watch that movie, educate yourself, and then start re-engineering and reversing that everything that happened.
That psyche.
That whole psyche. It's time to break it down. Another thing I want to say, it's time to start building well together. And if the players do decide to unite and sit out this season, what you should be focusing on is sitting out and educating yourself and your whole family on building financial wealth, planting your own food, making sure that you plant your vegetables, get you a farm, get you some chickens, get you every single thing that you possibly need, and so you can reap what you sow. Also, if you don't know anything about finances or anything, my bankers at Stifel, they do a wonderful job, and they teach you every single thing that you need to know. But like Tony said, once we get a chance to learn what we need to learn, then we go and start our own community as well, because that's what we do. That's what everybody has been doing. So there's no need to reinvent the wheel. Just understand what we're putting ourselves in and who we are as human beings, and make a difference. That's it. I'm done. Anybody else? Last thing. We're closing up.
Yeah. Real quick, last thing, two things. One, heavy statement that you talked about as it pertains to how we need to deal with one another. I definitely want to make sure that I keep up with you brothers, man. Y'all got a brother for life. Like I said, I'm always looking for like-minded individuals. And just the fact that you guys were able to get on this platform shows that you don't fear no man. You have your truth and you speak your truth, and I can appreciate that. If you're not the oppressor, choose none of his ways. And understand that the Lord is beautified in three things: love of neighbors, brothers that agree, and a wife and man that agree together, man. And so if we can all have those three principles that we stand on, bro, I feel like there's nothing that we can't accomplish. It might start out small, but hey, if you watch an ant build an ant pile, he only get one piece of dirt, but it's a whole mountain when it's finished.
Alvin, were you going to say something?
Yes, definitely appreciate the invite, everything. Greeting to meet everyone that's on the call right now. I think we had some great pointers and great insight talked about today. Definitely look to continue this moving forward. Looking forward. Part 2 coming up next pretty soon here. So appreciate it and looking forward to the future.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Hey, fellas, definitely great to meet you guys. Actually, Cam, myself, and you have a mutual friend with Brandon Copeland, and we were able to do that Christmas shopping spree together as well. So it's finally nice to meet you in person. Obviously, Tavon, and you three gentlemen, like Tony said, brother for life, man. I'm definitely looking forward to keeping up with you guys. You guys had some knowledge that I definitely, love hearing and listening to you. And so I definitely want to hear more, whether it be, I'll put my phone number in this chat and we link up and, and just talk about different things that's going on. But I'm always trying to further our communities and further our people. And so, if you feel free to hit me up if you have anything on the agenda as far as like communities concerned. I would love to, do the best that I can to help out with that. And Prince, thanks for putting this on, man. I really appreciate you, brother, for taking the time out to do this and get everybody together on this platform. This was great.
Yeah, now I guess I'll finish it off. Prince, much love, man. I know we talked this week, you know what I mean? A trip back to the motherland, once COVID is good, I'm with it. You know what I mean? I'm with it. Get some NFL guys, get our partners to come with us. We'll support and bring some resources back to the motherland and bring that stuff back this way. So much love, man. I appreciate y'all.
Thank you, fellas. Well, that's it. Thank you guys for joining Game Beyond the Game presents Talk That Talk, our 2-hour special. We look to see you for our next special. We're not sure when it's going to be, but we'll make sure that we'll let you know. Other than that, have an amazing weekend. And remember that you are beautiful. And if you learn how to love yourself first, it will not be hard to love others. Peace.